Last is continue your discussion on taxation. Last is continue your discussion on taxation. Last is continue your discussion on taxation on individuals. So recap muna tayo sa mga natutunan natin from last meeting. Basically, in-introduce natin yung individuals. And sabi ko sa inyo, focus tayo on 3 things. Number 1 is classification of individual taxpayers. Number 2 is the type or source of income. And number 3 is the amount of income. So last meeting, basically nag-focus tayo on the classification of taxpayers. So we learned na meron tayong 5 types or classifications. Number 1, resident citizen. Number 2, non-resident citizen. Resident alien, non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business, and last one is non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business. So nakita natin yung importance nila because dyan mag-a-apply yung principles of cycles of taxation. And we learned na yung resident citizen, taxable siya globally. Okay? So lahat ng income na na-earn niya within and without the Philippines are taxable. Okay? And the rest of the taxpayers, taxable lang sila for income earned within the Philippines. Okay? So now naman class, mag-focus naman tayo on how to compute for their income tax. Alright? Tuturuan ko na kayo kung paano mag-compute. So let's start. Individuals. Individual taxpayers pay 3 types of taxes. Number 1 is basic income tax. Number 2 is final withholding tax. And number 3 is capital gains tax. Okay, so yan yung binabayaran ng isang individual taxpayer. Now, mag-focus muna tayo dito sa basic income tax. Alright? So class, tuturuan ko kayo ng framework kung paano kayo magsasagot or compute if yung problem is about individuals. Ito tatandaan mo. So medyo lilit ako isulat ko for today class para magkasya sa board. But ito lang. Remember the following. Okay? Yung first consideration is, again, yung classification muna. Dapat malaman muna sa problem kung ano yung classification of that individual. So mabilis lang. So lagay natin resident citizen, non-resident citizen, okay? Resident alien, non-resident alien engaged in trade or business, and non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business. So alam natin class, pag resident alien, within and without the Philippines yan. The rest of the taxpayers, within the Philippines. So okay tayo dyan, na-master na natin siya from last meeting. Second consideration natin class is the source of income. So next na gagawin mo, or type of income. Source or type of income. So after malaman yung classification of that individual sa problem, tignan mo muna kung paano siya nag-earn ng income, ano yung source or type of income ng individual na yan. Okay? Actually, meron 3 possible income. Number 1, okay, the first source is through compensation. So, pwedeng employed yung individual, right? And pag employed means, pwede siyang employed sa private company or sa government, and then nakaka-receive siya ng salaries and wages. So, usually every 15th and 30th of the month, okay? Now, ang tawag natin sa income niya is compensation income, alright? Now, if ang source of income is only from compensation, yung computation ng tax is gagamit ka ng tax table. Ayan, so most of our working reviewees, so kayo, employed kayo, okay? So now, yung employer nyo, or specifically yung payroll department nyo, nagko-compute ng tax nyo using the tax table. Alright? So kung makikita nyo, kung mapansin nyo, kapag nakaka-receive kayo ng payslip nyo every 15th or 30th of the month, di ba makikita mo doon naka-less na yung tax, kinumpute na yun ng employer mo. Tama? Now, again, ina-apply doon is tax table. So ano yung tax table na yan? So, open nyo yung G-sheets natin class for individuals. Makikita nyo dyan yung, well, first yung link ng tax code. Okay? And then makikita mo dyan is basic income tax, graduated income tax table. When I say tax table, I'm referring to the graduated income tax table or specifically yun yung section 24A. Alright? Sa tax code, section 24A. So whenever mag-aaral kayo ng tax, lagi mo ibabrowse yung tax code. Okay? Now, basta sinabing section 24A, una mo may isip agad, it's the tax table. So tingnan mo natin class, familiarize muna natin sarili natin dito sa tax table. So basically, merong 6 rows yan. Okay? Yung first column is for your net taxable income, and then yung second column yung tax rate naman, okay? Now, yung first row, 0 to 250, 0%. Okay? Wala kang babayaran tax kapag yung annual income, annual pinag-uusapan natin dito, is 0 to 250. So, kasi ibig sabihin pala, let's say nag-earn ka per month ng 20,000. Okay? 20,000 pesos per month. So, audit firm ka, yan, 20,000. Times 12, that's 240,000. Tax exempt ka. Okay? Hindi ka magbabayad ng tax. Because sabi dyan, 0 to 250, 0%. Okay? Now, pag tumaas yung income mo, between 250 and 400, yung tax rate mo naman is 20% in excess of 250,000. Alright? Tumaas na naman siya, 400 and 800 na yung row number 3, 30,000 plus 25% in excess of 400, and so on and so forth. So yung huli dyan is 8 million. Okay? So mapapansin nyo class yung rate, nag-range siya from 0%, yung pinakahuling row is up to 35%. Okay? So 0 to 35% yung tax table natin. Right? So later, i-apply natin siya kapag nagsasagot tayo ng handouts natin. Got it? So basically class, again, kapag employed ka, yung employer mo or yung payroll department nyo, kukompute nila yung tax mo using this tax table. Okay? So okay tayo, malinaw tayo dyan. Yung second source of income is pwedeng from, if the individual is self-employed, pag sinabing self-employed, it means merong business, okay, business income, or professional/professional. Sir, bakit self-employed/professional? Bakit pinagsama mo, sir? Pag sinabing self-employed, again, may business. Pag sinabing professional, exercise of profession. So, for example, nagre-render ka ng dental services, ng legal services, audit services. Magkasama sila, class, because yung pag-compute ng tax for businesses and professionals, magkamukha lang. Okay? Same lang yung way ng pag-compute ng tax for them. Remember, ha? Alright, so, sir, paano computein yung tax for these individuals? Ito na tatandaan mo, class. Very important. Gross sales or receipts plus non-operating income. I-add mo muna yung dalawa na yan. Okay? Gross sales or receipts plus non-operating income. When you say gross sales, it means sale of goods. Okay? Goods yung binebenta mo. Okay? Pag naman sinabing gross receipts, sale of services. So for example, yung business mo, nagbebenta ka ng calculator. Ang tawag sa sales mo, gross sales. Okay? Pag naman nagbebenta ka ng services, for example, nagbebenta ka ng dental services. Okay? Nagre-render ka ng dental services. Ang tawag naman doon, gross receipts. Malinaw? Okay. Ito yung nakakalimutan ng students. Dapat i-add mo yung non-operating income. Sir, what do you mean by non-operating income? So sa accounting, alam natin class, kapag related sa operations yun or earn mo, ang tawag natin doon is operating income. Pag non-operating, hindi related sa operations. Examples. Pinakamagandang example dito is dividend income and interest income. Ayan. Na hindi subject to final withholding tax. Later, matutunan natin class na most of the dividends and interest are subject to final withholding tax. Okay? Yung sinasabi ko dito, those dividends and interest na not subject to final withholding tax. Pag hindi sila subject doon, ang tawag sa kanila, non-operating. Magpo-form pa sila ng non-operating income. Okay? So later class, i-apply natin siya sa exercise natin. For now, structure muna natin yung framework na gagamitin mo sa computation. Okay? Okay, so tuloy natin. Unang gagawin, i-add mo yung gross sales or receipts plus non-operating income. Yung total niyan, titignan mo class. If the total does not exceed 3 million or the total exceeds 3 million. Okay? Kapag hindi nag-exceed ng 3 million, yung tax computation mo will be using the tax table or 8% income tax option. Ayan. In excess of 250,000. Got it? Pag naman nag-exceed ng 3 million yung total, automatic tax table. Analyze natin. So again, add mo yung dalawa na yan. And then, pag hindi nag-exceed ng 3 million, pwedeng tax table or 8%. So napansin yung class or yan. Ibig sabihin, may option si taxpayer. Okay? Pwede kang pumili between the tax table or 8%. Ano yung tax table? Yung pinakita ko sa G-sheets, yung tax table. Or 8%. Alright? Now, yung option na yan, applicable lang yan if yung total mo, total gross sales or receipts plus non-operating income does not exceed 3 million. Kapag nag-exceed siya, automatic tax table ka. Right? Kaya last time class sabi ko, tatlo yung considerations. Classification, next is type or source of income, which is this one. And yung third one is the amount of income. Yung amount of income, yung important sa atin is the 3 million threshold. Pag sumobra ka ng 3 million, automatic tax table ka na agad. Alright? Sige. Last one is, what if mixed income earner ka? Sir, what do you mean by mixed income earner? Ibig sabihin class, meron kang compensation income and meron kang business or professional income. Alright? So for example, Monday to Friday, employed ka sa isang private company. And then Saturday, Sunday, nagre-render ka ng audit services sa mga clients mo. Ang tawag sa'yo, mixed income earner. Alright? For example, meron kang Monday to Friday, employed ka. On the side, meron kang business. Okay? Ang tawag sa'yo is mixed income earner. Sir, paano tinataxan yung mixed income earner? Ganito yung class. Isa-separate natin yung components ng income niya. Again, may dalawang components yan. Ito siya. Meron compensation income component, and then compensation, meron business or professional income. This one. Okay? Yung compensation income component, tandaan mo class, always tax table yan. Automatic na yan. Okay? Automatic tax table, basta compensation income. Got it? Ngayon, pag business income, ganyan ito gagawin mo. Add mo yung gross sales or receipts plus non-operating income. Yung total niya, titignan mo class. If the total does not exceed 3 million or if it exceeds 3 million. Pag hindi siya nag-exceed ng 3 million, yung computation mo ng tax will be either using tax table or 8%. Okay? Pag naman nag-exceed ng 3 million, automatic tax table ka. Alright? So basically, guys, kapag mixed income earner, kinumbine lang natin yung dalawa dito. Yung compensation income component is always using the tax table. Okay? Yung business or professional income component naman, class, same lang as this one. Got it? So, in short, yung compensation income, never siya magiging subject to 8%. Automatic, pag compensation income, write it down, lagi siyang computed siya using the tax table. Always. Got it? Okay. And yung 3 billion threshold dito, same lang as this one. Okay? Pero makikita nyo, class, ang main difference nila, dito may nakalagay na in excess of 250, dito wala nakalagay. Later, explain natin kung bakit. Okay? So far, nag-guess class. Alright, so dinadahan-dahan ko lang kasi very important yung individuals. Ito yung magiging foundation natin. Yun yung general overview ng framework natin. Ulitin natin. Classification muna, tingnan mo yung source, okay, or type of income, and tingnan mo yung amount of income, yung 3 million threshold. Okay, now, maglagay tayo ng konting details. Maglagay ako ng footnotes, yung mga specific details na kailangan mo malaman. Dito tayo, letter A. Ibig sabihin, I'm referring to gross sales or receipts. Dito ko lalagay class sa letter A. Lagay ko na lang notes. Letter A. Okay? Gross sales, okay, are net of sales returns, allowances, and discounts. Okay, very important. Pag sinabi mong gross sales in taxation, okay, ibig sabihin, it's net of sales, returns, allowances, or discounts. Got it? Okay. So, di ba sa accounting kasi magkaiba yan eh. Alam natin, sa accounting, iba yung gross sales, iba yung net sales. So, in taxation, actually, magkamukha lang yung gross sales in taxation, GS na lang, gross sales in taxation is equal to net sales in accounting. Okay, so remember that. Gross sales in taxation is equal to net sales in accounting. Okay? Footnote letter B. Ito, medyo madugo ng konti. So listen very carefully. Letter B, I'm referring to the 8% income tax rate option. Okay? So listen very carefully, ah. Ito yung critical dito sa, actually ito lang yung critical sa mga i-discuss ko for today. Ito yung pinaka-critical. Okay, letter B. Again, may option ka. Pwedeng tax table or 8%. Pag 8% yung pinili mo, okay, it is in lieu of the graduated tax rate and 1% other percentage tax under section 116. Sir, ano ibig sabihin niyan? Okay, hindi natin. Kapag 8% yung pinili mo as taxpayer, okay, it is in lieu of the graduated tax rate and 1% OPT. Ano kasi ibig sabihin ng in lieu? Yung mga gagaling sa vocabulary dyan. Pag sinabi mong in lieu, okay, in substitution of or in replacement of. Ibig sabihin kasi, pag nagbayad ka ng 8%, hindi ka na magbabayad ng graduated tax rate, hindi ka na magbabayad ng 1% OPT. Okay? Tumuna tayo, sir, what do you mean by graduated tax rate? Kaka-discuss ko lang. Ibig sabihin lang yan, tax table. Got it? So, pag nag 8% ka, hindi ka na masasubject sa tax table. Yun lang ibig sabihin nun. Sir, ano naman ibig sabihin ng 1% OPT? Under section 116. Actually, class, yung OPT na yan, or other percentage tax, i-discuss natin siya sa business taxes, which is second half of our review. Bibigyan lang muna kita ng overview. Okay? Hindi muna yung details kasi ayoko i-mix up yung mga concepts. Ito lang muna yung mga kailangan mo tandaan. Okay, so, punta tayo dun, class, sa G-sheets natin. Basahin natin yung section 116 para may idea tayo. Section 116, tax on persons exempt from VAT. Okay? Any person whose sales or receipts are exempt under section 109 from the payment of VAT, okay, and who is not a VAT-registered person shall pay a tax equivalent of 3%. Okay? And then, sa last part nakalagay, provided further that effective July 1, 2020 until June 30, 2023, the rate shall be 1%. Okay. Now, ilagay muna natin yung date. Nakalagay dyan, it's from July 1, 2020, okay, to June 30, 2023. Okay. Ito class yung, it's because of create law. Okay. So, dati, yung OPT is 3%. Okay. From July 1, 2020 up to June 30, 2023, so basically 2021, 22, 20, for 3 years, magiging 1% siya. Kaya nilagay ko 1%. After this date, starting July 1, 2023, babalik siya sa 3%. Okay, babalik sa 3%. Now, 1% tayo create. Okay. Sir, ano ibig sabihin ano ba ibig sabihin, sir, ng other percentage tax? Okay, so ganito yung class. Yung businesses, nagbabayad siya. Businesses are subject to 2 types of taxes. Ito yung binabayaran niya. Nagbayad siya ng income tax, and nagbabayad siya ng business tax. Okay, yung income tax, ito yung di-discuss natin. Ito siya, yung business. Okay? Yung business tax naman, may dalawang klase tayo niyan. Okay, remember this. No? Lagyan natin dito, business taxes. Meron tayong two types. Number one is the 1% other percentage tax. And number two is the 12% VAT. Okay? So yung VAT and OPT, ang tawag sa kanila, business taxes. Yung income tax and business tax are independent. Okay? Nagbabayad ka ng income tax, nagbabayad ka din ng business tax. Hindi yan double taxation, ha? Okay? So income tax and business tax. Now, sir, paano tayo malalaman kung ano ibabayaran namin? OPT or VAT? Ito plus yung mga rules na kailangan mo tandaan. At least as of now muna. OPT babayaran mo if yung sales mo do not exceed 3 million. Okay? And non-VAT registered ka. Okay? So, dalawa yung may-meet mo na requirements dapat. Yung sales mo, hindi mag-exceed ng 3 million and non-VAT registered. So, ibig sabihin, class, pag VAT naman, pakita ko muna yung VAT. Pag VAT naman, class, yung sales mo more than 3 million. Okay? Or, okay, VAT registered. Ayan. Ulitin natin. VAT yung babayaran mo if mag-exceed ka ng 3 million or VAT registered ka. Okay? So, ganito yung class yung rules, no? Kapag nag-exceed ka ng 3 million, automatic, subject to VAT ka na. Okay? Hindi ka na magiging subject to 1% other percentage tax. Or, if VAT registered ka, regardless of the amount of sales, VAT yung babayaran mo. Gets ba? VAT registered ka. Sales mo lang for the year is 1 million, hindi nag-exceed ng 3M, 12% pa rin yung babayaran mo kasi VAT registered ka. So, magbabayad ka lang ng 1% OPT if yung sales mo hindi mag-exceed ng 3 million and non-VAT registered. Kasi kapag or yan, for example, hindi mag-exceed ng 3 million tapos VAT registered ka, dito ka mag-full. Automatic VAT ka na. Okay? Now, balik tayo dito, class. Sabi dito, pag nag-8% ka, hindi ka na magbabayad ng tax sa tax table, hindi mo na rin babayaran yung OPT. So, ibig sabihin, class, instead of paying both income tax and business tax, kapag 8% yung binayaran mo, isa na lang yung babayaran mo. 8%. Okay? Pwede mong isipin, class, na yung 8% na yan, dalawa yung components yan. Yung 7% is the income tax. And then yung 1% is the business tax or the OPT. Okay? 1% is the business tax or other percentage tax. Pwede mo siyang isipin na ganun. So, pag nagbayad ako ng 8%, 7% nun income tax, 1% nun other percentage tax. That's why pag nagbayad ako niyan, hindi na ako magbabayad separately ng OPT. Okay? In summary, pag nag-8% income tax option ka, dapat ito ka. Okay? Hindi ka na magbabayad ng tax table. Sa tax table, hindi ka na rin magbabayad ng 1% other percentage tax. Malinaw? Okay. Now, merong strict qualification sa tax code natin. Dapat ma-meet mo yung qualifications na to. Though na-mention ko na yung iba dito. Meron tayong 4 qualifications. Number 1, before mo magamit yung 8%. Okay? Before ka maging qualified sa 8% income tax option, dapat ma-meet mo yung 4 requirements na to. Number 1, the business must be subject to pay 1% OPT under Section 116. Ayan. So, discuss ko na earlier. Dapat subject ka to OPT. Okay? Number 2, the business must be non-VAT registered. Bakit ulit, class? Kasi pag VAT registered ka, automatic, pag VAT registered ka, automatic, VAT ka. Hindi ka magbabayad ng hindi OPT. Okay? Therefore, hindi mo magagamit yung 8% tax option. By the way, ito class or yan, ha? You pay either OPT or VAT. Hindi pwedeng both kasi direct double taxation yung pag ganun. So, it's or. Number 3, the business must not be engaged or not engaged in VAT-exempt transactions. Okay, so FYI na lang muna to class para hindi ka malito. But basically, pagdating natin sa discussion on VAT, alamin natin ano yung mga VAT-exempt transactions or yung mga transactions na not subject to VAT. And number 4, ito yung isa pang medyo nakakalito, the business must not be subject to Section 117. Aba, sir, meron tayong Section 116 and Section 117. Okay na tayo sa number 1, di ba? Makakapag 8% income tax rate option ka lang kapag liable ka to pay 1% OPT. Kapag hindi, kapag vatable ka, okay? Kapag VAT registered ka, hindi pwede yan. Kaya nakalagay, non-VAT registered. Pag engage ka sa VAT exempt transactions, hindi ka rin pwede mag 8%. Pag subject ka to Section 117, hindi ka rin pwede mag 8%. So dapat not subject, okay? Not subject to Section 117. Sir, ano yung Section 117? Onwards, okay? Section 117 onwards. Right, so kasi in general, ganito yan. In general, yung mga businesses, pag hindi nag-exceed ng 3 million, 1% yung OPT niyan. Okay? Pero may mga certain businesses na meron silang very specific, different percentage taxes. Yun yung nasa Section 117 onwards. So, tingnan natin class. Okay, so pag titingnan mo dyan, actually, kinapipase ko na yan sa G-sheets natin. But if you will look at the tax code, Section 117, nandiyan class yung, basahin ko percentage tax on domestic carriers and keepers of garages. Meron tayong percentage tax on international carriers, yun yung 3% quarterly gross receipts. Okay? Tax on franchises, nandiyan yung 2%. Tax on overseas dispatch, message or conversation, yung mga telephone calls. Okay? And then, nandiyan yung mga horse races. Naalala nyo sa college? Okay. So, next time pa natin aralin yan pagdating natin sa business tax. But basically, class, ito yung types of businesses na meron silang different percentage taxes. Hindi sila subject sa 1% OPT. Alright? May iba silang rates specific for them. Now, sabi dito, before ka mag-qualify sa 8% income tax rate option, dapat hindi ka subject to Section 117. So, subject ka to Section 116, not subject to Section 117. So, ulitin natin subject to 116, non-VAT registered, not engaged in VAT exempt transactions, and not subject to Section 117. Pag na-meet mo yung apat na yan, you can use the 8% income tax rate option. Okay, so yan lang. Yun lang yung medyo mahirap dyan, pero the rest okay na yan. Alright, let's go to the next item, to the last one. Letter C. Ito, dito ko lalagay. Letter C. Ayan. So, dito na lang kas letter C. Footnote mo na lang. Letter C, lalagay ko dito, not in excess of 250,000. Not in excess, not in excess of 250,000. Ano ba to class? Ito yung mixed income earner, alright? So mixed income earner, meron kang compensation, meron kang business or professional income. So dito class, kapag compensation income lang, alright? Pag business or professional income lang, nakalagay in excess of 250. Pero kapag mixed income earner ka na, wala na nakalagay na in excess of 250 dito. Bakit sir? Kasi class, yung 250,000 na yan, sa mixed income earner, na-consider mo na yan dito sa compensation component mo. Di ba sa compensation component, tax table yung gagamitin dyan, alright? So sa tax table natin, yung 0 to 250,000, 0% yun. So if ang ginawa mo dyan, nag-tax table ka sa compensation, okay? And then nag-minus 250 ka pa dito, twice ka nag-deduct ng 250,000. Na-double count yung pag-deduct mo ng 250,000. Got it? So ingat na lang. Pag mixed income, wag mo na i-deduct yung 250. Pag exercise sa profession or business, i-deduct mo yung 250,000. Okay? Ayan. May space pa ba tayo dito sa computation class? Okay lang ba? I-erase ko na to. I-erase ko na to para may space tayo. So yung i-erase sana yung mga sinulat ko sa board, na framework na gagamitin nyo. So maglagay tayo ng line. Alright? So mag-refer tayo dito as we answer our exercises. Okay? Sige. So let's go to our handouts. Problem number, I think done na tayo sa theory. May remaining 3 items na lang. Let's go to problem number 1. Okay, problem number 1. Miss Y operates a pharmaceutical store and offers tax preparation services to her clients. Okay, so sentence number 1 pa lang, okay, first sentence, operates a pharmaceutical store. Ibig sabihin, meron siyang business. Self-employed siya. Tama? And offers tax preparation services. Professional income yun. So meron siyang business income, meron din siyang professional income. Okay, baka malito ka, hindi yan mixed income Okay? Wala siyang compensation income dito. Meron lang siyang business income and professional income. Therefore, magpo-fall siya sa second. Got it? Ito yung taxation para kay Miss Y. Okay? In 2021, her gross sales amounted to 800,000 in addition to her receipts from tax preparation services of 300. Scenario 1. If she already signified her intention to be taxed at 8% in her first quarter return, how much is the income tax due in 2021? Plus, take note din to, yung sasabihin ko. Di ba may option ka? Tama? May option ka, dapat i-signify mo siya sa first quarter ITR mo. Okay? Next time, aralin natin yung tax, yung filing, preparation of tax returns. Makikita mo doon sa individuals, i-check mo lang 8% or tax table. Sa first quarter, pipili ka na agad. Okay? Pag nakapili ka sa first quarter, irrevocable na siya for the rest of the year. Got it? Ngayon, pag hindi ka pumili, let's say, wala kang chinek doon. Okay? Or kaya, if silent, ayan. If silent, ito ka, tax table ka automatic. Dapat piliin mo yung 8% sa first quarter na ITR. So again, irrevocable, hindi pwedeng, sa first quarter, 8% nga ako. Second quarter, tax table ako. Third quarter, 8%. Hindi pwede yan. Sa first quarter pa lang, isi-signify mo na kung ano yung tax rate mo, kung ano pinili mong option for that year. Alright? So let's go to scenario number 1. If she already signified her intention to be taxed at 8%, how much is the tax due? So, ang gagawin ko dyan, class, sa problem number 1, scenario 1. Okay? Sabi ko dito, add natin lahat ng gross sales and receipts niya and non-operating income. Wala namang non-operating income sa problem. So, gagawin ko lang, meron siyang gross sales. Okay? Na 800,000. And then, meron siyang gross receipts. Okay? Na 300,000. So, yung total is 1.1 million. Tama? This is the total. And then, ang next na gagawin natin, so 1.1 million, sabi dyan, nag-signify daw siya ng 8%. Qualified daw siya sa 8%? Answer is yes. Kasi yung total is only 1.1 million. Nandito siya. Hindi siya nag-exceed ng 3 million. Okay? Ibig sabihin, class, kapag nag-signify siya ng 8%, and then sumobra ng 3 million yung sales niya, hindi ka pwede mag-8%. Tax table ka. Got it? For this one, okay lang kasi hindi sumobra ng 3 million. Ang gagawin natin, 8% siya in excess of 250. So, tatanggalin mo yung exempt na 250,000. Minus 250,000. Okay? So, 1.1 million minus 250, 850,000. So, 850,000, ang tawag natin dyan, class, is the taxable income or net taxable income. Multiply natin by 8%. Okay? Times 8%. 68,000. Income tax due. Okay? Income tax due for scenario number 1 is 68,000, letter A. Okay, key points to remember. Number 1, kahit nag-signify ng 8%, hindi absolute yun ha. Titignan mo muna yung total. Dapat hindi siya mag-exceed ng 3 million. Pag nag-exceed ng 3 million, tax table gagamitin mo. Okay, observation number 2, huwag mo kalimutan yung minus 250,000. Okay, kapag nandito ka nag-fall, pag business or professional income ka, i-minus mo yung 250. Pero kapag mixed income earner, later magkasagot tayo niyan, huwag mo i-minus yung 250,000 dito. Okay? Pag may other operating income, i-add natin. So, for scenario number 1 is letter A. Scenario number 2, if she failed to signify her intention to be taxed at 8% in her initial quarterly income tax return, and she incurred cost of sales and operating expenses amounting to 600 to 200, how much is the tax due? So, ibig sabihin, class, sa first quarter, hindi siya nag-signify. Tama? Anong gagamitin mo dyan? Magta-tax table ka. Right? So, ma-apply na natin yung tax table natin. Let's go to scenario number 2. So, ganito gagawin ko dyan, class. So, meron akong gross sales amounting to 800,000. I have gross receipts 300,000. So, total natin is 1.1 million. Tama? Total is 1.1 million. Okay. So, since nag-tax table ka na, pwede ka na mag-deduct ng cost of goods sold and operating expenses. Alright? Take note, kapag 8% option, hindi ka mag-deduct ng cost of goods sold and operating expense. So, write it down. Hindi ka mag-deduct ha. Based yan sa gross. Kaya, class, ang tawag din natin sa 8% income tax rate option is 8% gross income tax. Because based siya sa gross income mo. Okay? While yung tax table, pwede kang mag-deduct ng cost of goods sold and operating expenses. So, minus natin yung cost of goods sold. Sabi sa scenario number 2, it's 600,000. And then, yung operating expenses, actually, class, kung sa accounting, operating expenses yung tawag, sa taxation, ang equivalent nun is, ang tawag is allowable deductions. So, gamitin natin yung term na allowable deductions. Okay? So, AD na lang. Allowable deductions for this is 200,000. So, 1.1 million minus 600, that's 500, minus 2, you have 300,000 taxable income. Okay? Now, after mo makuha yung taxable income, titingin naman tayo dun sa tax table natin. So, class, saan siya mag-fall dyan? Sa tax table, tama ba? It's between 250 and 400,000. Tama? So, nakalagay dyan, yung taxation is 20% in excess, 20% of the excess over 250,000. So, ibig sabihin, class, yung tax due natin is 20% in excess of 250,000. It means 300,000 minus 250,000. Yung excess over 250 is basically 50,000. So, let's compute. 300,000 minus 250,000 times 20%, 10,000. Answer is 10,000. Okay, letter A. Okay, so letter A. So, ito yung observation natin sa scenario number 2. You can deduct the cost of goods sold in allowable deductions if subject ka sa tax table. Right? So, class, meron lang akong tatanong sa inyo para tingnan ko, nakakasunod talaga kayo. For scenario number 1, si Miss Y, kailangan pa ba niya magbayad ng other percentage tax? Hindi na. Okay? Kasi in lieu of the graduated income tax rate and 1% OPT. Sa scenario number 2, magbabayad ba ng OPT or business tax si Miss Y? Answer is yes. Okay? Kapag subject ka to tax table, separate pa yung business tax mo. If subject ka sa 8%, hindi ka na magbabayad ng percentage tax. Okay? Sige, let's go to number 2. Okay, so let's go to number 2. Kasya pa yan siguro. Okay. Ms. Y signified her intention to be taxed at 8% income tax rate based on gross sales in her first quarter return. Her gross sales and other information during the year are shown below. Okay, so class, yung filing of ITR is every quarter. Okay? Now, for number 2, aralin natin kung paano mag-compute ng quarterly ITR. Take note class na kapag mag-compute ka ng quarterly ITR, okay, cumulative yung computation mo. Okay, sige, tingnan natin. Doon muna tayo sa quarter 1. Q1 lagi ko. Q1. Total sales, 500,000 and cost of sales, 300. Operating expenses, 100,000. Compute muna natin yung sa first quarter. Nalagay ko dito gross sales, GS na lang, gross sales, 500,000. And then, plus do I deduct the operating expenses? Answer is no. Bakit sir? Kasi kapag ka nag 8% option ka, hindi ka nagde-deduct ng cost of goods sold and OPEX. Ang i-deduct mo dito is the exempt na 250,000. Parang ginawa natin dito. Okay? So, ingat doon ha. 500 minus 250, you have 250,000. We call this the taxable income. Alright? So 250,000 times 8%, you get 20,000. Times 8%, 20,000, this is your tax due. Tax due natin for first quarter, or tax payable, tax due or tax payable, is 20,000. Alright? Well, ang tanong pala sa atin is question 1, second quarter. Question 2 is the final return. Okay, so openin natin every quarter para malinaw. That's question 1, or quarter 1. Let's go to quarter number 2. Ayan, quarter number 2, again, cumulative yung computation natin. Sa quarter 1, meron kang sales na 500. Sa quarter 2, 1 million. So, total nun is 1.5 million. 1.5 million gross sales. And then, yung exempt natin, syempre, it's always 250,000. Okay? Baka gawin mo 500 hindi, 250,000 yan. 1.5 million minus 250, you have 1,250,000 times 8%. Let's compute class. 1,250,000 times 8% is 100,000. Tax due natin class is 100,000. Actually, nasa choices yan. Tax due, 100,000 is nasa letter A yun, tama? Pero class, ingat ka. Iba yung tax due sa tax payable. Okay? Yung tax payable, yung pa yung kulang mo na babayaran kay BIR. Got it? Yung tax due, yung total na kailangan mo bayaran kay BIR. Take note class na cumulative yung computation natin. Nung first quarter, nagbayad na tayo ng 20,000 kay BIR. Got it? So, ang gagawin mo dyan, ito yung total na dapat bayaran kay BIR, pero nagbayad ka ng 20. So, ibig sabihin, ima-minus ko yung binayad ko ng first quarter. Q1 payment na 20,000, answer ko dito class is 80,000. Ang tawag natin dyan, income tax payable. Answer natin is letter B or boy. Ingat ito na. Ulitin ko. Tax due is different from tax payable. Okay? Tax due is the total. Yung tax payable, yung pa yung kulang mo kay BIR. In this case, magkaiba sila. Alright? Sa first quarter, magkamukha lang yung tax due and tax payable. Wala ka pang bayad. First quarter pa lang yan. Sa quarter 2, magkaiba na yan. Yung total na bayaran natin dapat kay BIR is 100. Bayad na yung 20, so 80 na lang. Kaya class, ang binayaran mo na so far is 20 and 80 or 100,000, which is your tax due. Okay? So boy yung sagot natin sa question 1. Let's go to question number, let's go to third quarter. Okay. So class, okay lang i-erase ko na to. Erase ko na to ha. Okay. Para may space tayo. Let's go to third quarter, Q3. Okay, total sales natin dyan is 1.5. So add natin yung previous quarter, 1.5 plus 500 plus 1 million. 3 million yung sales mo for the 3 quarters. Again, cumulative yung computation natin. 3 million minus 250,000, the exempt, okay, you have 2,750,000. 2,750,000, multiply natin by 8%. Okay, 2,750 times 8%, you get 220,000. Yung tax due natin, tax due, 220,000. Again, minus natin yung binayad natin sa previous quarters. So first quarter, we paid 20,000. Second quarter, we paid 80,000. So 220 minus 20, that's 200 minus 80, that's 120,000. Income tax payable natin for quarter number 3 is 120,000. Ayan. Alright? Okay, so wala nang space. Ayoko mag-erase dito class para mag-refer tayo dyan lagi. Ito na lang tayo. Erase ko na to ha. Make sure nakapin yung solution natin. So again, let's go to quarter number 4. Actually, yung quarter number 4 class, yun yung tinatawag natin na final return. Kasi yun yung buong taon mo. First to fourth quarter. Right? So quarter number 4, meron kang sales ng 6 million. So ibig sabihin class, kung i-add natin yung lahat ng sales mo for the year, 500,000 plus 1 million plus 1.5 plus 6 million, na-compute nyo yung 9 million. Okay, so nag-exceed ka ng threshold natin na 3M. So, sabi sa tax code, pag nag-exceed ka ng 3M, automatic, tax table ka. Meron siyang retroactive effect. Okay? Di ba naka 8% tayo sa first 3 quarters? Okay? May retroactive effect yan. Lahat yan, buong year, magiging subject ka na to the tax table. Okay. So, paano gagawin natin dyan? Ganito gagawin natin dyan, class. So, yung gross sales natin is, ano yung na-compute natin? It's 9 million. Okay? 9 million. And then, since tax table ka na, pwede ka na mag-deduct ng cost of goods sold and operating expenses. So, minus cost of goods sold. Sige, class, add natin lahat ng cost of goods sold natin. We have 300,000 first quarter, plus 500, plus 700, plus 2,250. Nakuha niyo yung 3,750,000. Okay? Cost of goods sold, 3,750,000. And then, we deduct the operating expenses or allowable deductions. 100, plus 200, plus 250, plus 750, 1.3 million. Okay, so 1.3 million. This is your taxable income. Alright? So 9 million minus 3,750 minus 1.3, 3,950,000. So as you notice, class, cumulative lahat ng amounts na ginamit natin. Yung gross sales is for the year, cost of goods sold is for the year, allowable deductions or operating expenses for the year din siya. So we get yung taxable income for the whole year, 3,950,000. Okay, punta tayo sa tax table natin. So class, saan siya mag-fall na row? 3,950,000 is between, tama ba sa 5th row siya? Between 2 million and 8 million siya. Tama? Ano daw yung tax rate dyan? 490,000 plus 32% in excess over 2 million. So gagawin ko dyan, yung tax due natin is 490,000, okay? Plus 32% in excess of 2 million. So 3,950,000 minus 2 million. Ayan. So compute natin, class. 3,950 minus 2 million times 32% plus 490,000, I got here 1,114,000. Ano tawag natin sa 1,114,000? It is income tax due. Yan yung total na dapat bayaran mo for year 2021. Since nagbayad na tayo sa first 3 quarters, i-minus natin dito yan. So ilan na ba yung nabayad natin? 20 plus 80, that's 100, plus 120, that's 220,000. So pag minus mo yung 220,000 dyan, okay, so 1,114,000 minus 220,000, you have to pay 894,000 to BAR. That's our income tax payable, 894,000. That's letter A. 894,000. Okay? So, as you notice, class, quarters 1 to 3, okay, nag-8% tayo. Siyempre, hindi mo pa alam yung sales mo sa 4th quarter. Ngayon, pagdating sa 4th quarter, yung total mo nag-exceed ng 3 million. Okay? Sa quarter 3, actually, saktong 3 million yun. Hindi pa nag-exceed. Sa quarter 4 pa siya nag-exceed. So, in that case, ang mangyayari dyan, magre-recompute tayo ng buong year, okay? So, subject natin to tax table, and then ililess mo yung nabayad mo na for the first 3 quarters. That's why answer natin dyan is 894,000, letter A. Class, dagdagan natin ang scenario yung problem number 2 na yan. What if, sulat mo to, scenario, dagdagan natin, ha? What if yung sales mo for quarter number 3 and quarter number 4, ayan, yung sales mo, ibahin natin, gawin nating 3 million, gawin natin 2 million sa quarter number 3. Sa quarter 4 naman, gawin natin 6 million pa rin. Okay? Di ba currently, 1.5 million yan? Tama? What if sa quarter 3, 2 million yung naging sales mo? Paano gagawin natin yung class? Dito natin i-recompute. Okay? FYI na lang to, no? So, pakita lang natin. So, sa quarter 3, since ang assumption na natin is 2 million yung sales, 2 million plus 500 sa quarter 1 plus 1 million sa quarter 2, that's 3.5 million. Tama? So, 3.5 million, ibig sabihin, quarter 3 pa lang, na-breach mo na yung 3 million threshold. In that case, quarter 3 pa lang, tax table na yung gagamitin natin. So, ito yung gross sales mo, and then i-minus natin yung cost of goods sold. So, how much yung cost of goods sold for the first 3 quarters? 300 plus 500 plus 700, you have 1.5 million. Okay? 1.5 million, less natin yung allowable deductions for the first 3 quarters, 100 plus 200 plus 250, you get 550,000. So far, so good? Okay. Now, you get the taxable income na 3.5 minus 1.5 minus 550, you have 1,450,000. Okay? 1,450,000. Okay, subject natin to tax table yan, 1,450,000 nasa row number 4 yan kasi between 800 and 2 million yan. Nakalagay, 130,000 plus 30% in excess over 800. So, ibig sabihin, yung tax due natin dito is 130,000 plus, okay, plus 30% in excess of 800,000. 30% of 1,450,000 minus 800,000. Okay, so let's compute the tax due. 1,450,000 minus 800 times 30% plus 130,000. Income tax due natin is 325,000. Okay, ito yung tax due mo. Kaya lang, nagbayad ka na ng 20 and 80 sa first 2 quarters. minus 20 plus 80 is 100. Ibig sabihin class, income tax payable natin is 225,000. Got it? Ayan. Sa quarter 3, 225,000 kept. Obviously, sa quarter number 4, tax table ka na automatic. Kasi quarter 3, na-breach mo na yung 3 million. Obviously, quarter 4, more than 3 million ka na. So let's say 6 million pa rin yung quarter 4. So total sales mo na, 6 million plus 2 million sa quarter 3, 6 million plus 2 million plus 1 million sa quarter 2 plus 500,000 sa quarter 1. 9.5 million. So recompute natin. So this should be 9.5 million. Okay? Sa bagong assumption natin. So 9.5 million minus 3,750,000 minus 1.3 million, you have 4,450,000. Okay? So this is 4,450,000. And then, computin natin yung tax payable natin. 4,450,000, nasaan siya bracket? It's between 2 million and 8 million. So 490,000 plus 32% in excess of 2 million. Okay? 490,000 plus 32% in excess of 2 million. 4,450 minus 2 million. Okay, so let's compute the tax due. So 4,450,000 minus 2 million times 32% plus 490,000, you get 1,274,000. 1,274,000. This is the income tax due. Pero nagbayad na tayo nung first quarter, we paid 20. Second quarter, we paid 80,000. And then third quarter, we paid 225,000. Let's compute the income tax payable. 1,274 minus 20 minus 80 minus 225. Answer natin is 949,000. Okay? So dagdagan ako ng scenarios class ha. Dagdagan ko lang ng scenario, what if yung sales natin ng third quarter is 2 million? What if sales natin ng fourth quarter is still 6 million? Okay, pero syempre sagot pa rin natin is boy for question 1, A for question number 2. Okay? And easy. Let's go to number 3. Okay, question number 3, we have 3 questions here. Mr. X, erase ko na class ha. Mr. X, a senior manager of a huge real estate company, earned an annual compensation of 1.7 million. Okay? In addition, he earned 13-month pay and other benefits amounting to 50,000. The total mandatory contributions to SSS, Pag-ibig, and PhilHealth amounted to 10,000. Aside from employment income, he owns a Korean store. Okay? With gross sales of 2.6 million, sales discounts of 120,000, sales returns and allowances 80,000. Cost of sales and operating expenses 1.2 million and 400,000 respectively. And with non-operating income of 80,000. So di natin alam yung non-operating income. Pwedeng dividend income yan or interest income. Basta alam lang natin, isasama natin siya. Okay? Non-operating income. Class, ano yung type of income earner si Mr. X? He is a mixed income earner. Bakit sir? Kasi meron siyang compensation income, meron din siyang business. Tawag sa kanya, mixed income earner. Pag mixed income earner, ihiwalay mo yan. Meron kang compensation income component, meron kang business income component. Okay. So, ganito gagawin ko dyan. Question 1, if the best option is availed by Mr. X, being a mixed income earner, the income tax payable is, tapos pag sinabi mong best option, actually, ang ibig sabihin nun, yung 8%. Okay? 8% ang ibig sabihin nun. Actually, laging beneficial. Always beneficial, more beneficial yung 8% than your tax table. Bakit, sir? Because pag 8%, hindi mo na kailangan magbayad ng business tax. Income tax lang. Alright? So, ano yan? Lagi siyang beneficial. Kaya, pag sinabi diyang if the best option, automatic ang ibig sabihin nun, it's the 8%. Okay? Ano gagawin natin dyan? Pag 8%, again, sabi ko, kailangan ihiwalay mo yung compensation income. Yung compensation income is always subject dun sa tax table natin. So, compute mo natin yung compensation income. So, compensation income, this is number 3. Okay? You have 1.7 million, tama ba? Sa first sentence, 1.7 million. And then, add mo dyan class lahat ng na-earn niya. Kasama yung 13th month pay. 13th month, you have 50,000. And then, yung mga mandatory contributions, for example, SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, kung makikita niyo yung class, yung mga working reviews natin, doon sa payslip nyo, di ba nakalagay, minus SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, ang tawag doon mga mandatory contributions. Pwede mo i-deduct yan sa babayaran mo na tax. Okay, deductible yan. So, sabi dyan, it's 10,000. Right? Now class, meron tayong tinatawag na exempt na 13th month pay and other benefits. Okay? So lagay ko dito, 13th month pay plus other benefits. Next time, i-discuss natin siya pag nag-aral na tayo ng fringe benefits. No? Fringe benefits. But for now, tandaan mo lang na yung 13th month pay and other benefits, merong exempt yan up to 90,000. Okay? 90,000 yung threshold natin ha. Alright. Iyan yung maximum. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, kung 13th month pay mo is 50, how much yung i-deduct mo dyan? How much yung exempt natin class? Is it 50 or 90? 50. Diba? Kasi syempre, yung 90, again, yun yung maximum amount. Right? For example naman, yung 13th month pay mo is 100,000. Ang i-deduct mo dyan is only 90,000. Okay lang? So, this is minus 50,000. we will get the taxable compensation income. Alright, so 1.7 million plus 50 minus 10,000 minus 50, you get 1,690,000. Okay, so class, take note kapag employed ka, kapag work ka sa isang company, may mga deductions ka pa rin na pwedeng, eligible ka pa rin sa deductions. Number 1, yung mga mandatory contributions. Kaya lang, maliit lang yan. Number 2, yung exempt na hanggang 90,000. In this case, up to 50,000. Okay? Taxable compensation income natin is 190. Ang gagamitin natin dyan is the tax table. Let's go to the tax table. Saan siya makikita? Row number 4, kasi between 800 and 2 million siya. Tama? Nakalagay dyan, 130,000. Tama ba? Okay, so 1,690,000. Yes, so 130,000 plus 30% in excess of 800. Okay, so tax due natin, 130,000 plus 20%, 20 or 30, plus 30% in excess of 800,000. So 1,690 minus 800. Let's compute the tax due sa compensation income component of Mr. X. So 1,690 minus 800 times 30% plus 130, you get 397,000. So income tax due for the compensation income component of Mr. X is 397,000. Alright? Sige, so yun yung compensation income. Dun, compute naman natin yung sa business income niya. Alright, so sa business income, meron siyang gross sales amounting to 2.6 million. Okay? Sabi ko dito, class, yung footnote natin sa gross sales, lagi mo i-deduct yung returns, allowances, and discounts. So may nakalagay dyan. Meron tayong sales returns, sales discounts na 120. Lagay na natin SD, 120,000. Sales returns and allowances, 8,000. Okay? So, makukuha natin yung net sales natin. Right? So, huwag mo kalimutan i-deduct yan. 2.6 minus 120 minus 80, you get 2.4 million. 2.4 million in yung net sales natin. And, ano gagawin mo next? Don't forget to add the non-operating income. Okay? Meron dyan sa problem? Yes, 80,000. Plus other non-operating income, 80,000. Okay? Plus 80,000. Ibig sabihin, class, yung taxable income natin for this problem is 2,480,000. Ayan, 2,480,000. I-deduct mo ba yung 250,000? Hindi. Sabi ko dito, may footnote si tayo, not in excess of 250 because na-consider natin dito yan sa tax table natin. Okay? Therefore, yung 2,480, diretso multiply by 8%. 2,480,000 times 0.08, you get 198,400. Tax due natin yan for the business income. So, meron tayong compensation income, 397. Meron tayong business na 198,400. Add natin yung dalawa. 198,400 plus 397,000. Total is 595,400. Okay? Total is 595,400. Answer natin for question number 1 is letter C. Okay? Ayan. Question number 2. If Mr. X chose to be taxed at the progressive income tax rate or the tax table, under section 24A of the tax code, the income tax payable is, okay, dito nag 8% siya sa question number 1. Sa question number 2, what if, instead of 8%, ang gusto ni Mr. X, yung napili niya is the tax table. So pareho, tax table yung compensation, yung business income is also tax table. Okay? Paano gagawin natin, sir, dyan? Iris ko na to, ha? So question number 2, gagawin ko dyan, basically, pagsasamahin ko yung income nila. Okay? So question number 2, kunin ko yung taxable compensation income na 1,690. Right? And then, next is, kunin ko yung business income, ito, 2,480,000. So, lagay ko dito, business income. 2,480. Pero take note, class, sa business income, sa business side, okay, kapag nag-tax table ka na, pwede mo nang i-deduct yung cost of sales and operating expenses. Got it? Observe mo dun sa question 1, hindi natin dineduct yung cost of sales and operating expenses. Sa question 2, since tax table yung gagamitin mo sa business income component, pwede mo na i-deduct yun. So, nakalagay sa problem, may cost of sales tayo na 1.2 million, or cost of goods sold, 1.2. And then, meron tayong operating expenses, or let's call it allowable deductions, na 400,000. Let's compute for the taxable income. Okay, so 1,690 plus 2,480 minus 1.2 minus 400, you get 2,570,000. 2,570,000. 2,570, tingnan natin class yung tax table natin, magpo-fall siya sa row number 5, 490,000 plus 32% in excess of 2 million. So, tax due natin, 490,000 plus 32% in excess of 2 million. 2,570 minus 2 million. Okay, let's compute. 2,570 minus 2 times 32% plus 490,000. Answer natin class is 672,400. 672,400, letter D or dog. Ayan. So, pinagsama lang natin sa question number 2. Yung compensation income is this one. yung business income natin, and don't forget na pwede ka na mag-minus ng cost of goods sold and allowable deductions. Apply the tax table, we get 672,400 dog. Question number 3, which is the better option to choose from special income tax rate of 8% or the graduated income tax rate? Actually, class, letter D yung sagot dyan, dog. It's always the 8% income tax rate because of the twin benefits of not only avoiding the graduated income tax rate but also the exemption from OPT. Okay? So, laging better to, yung 8% over the tax table. Okay? Kasi class, yung 8% na yan, actually, para yan sa mga low-income earners. Okay? Para ma-encourage sila na mag-start ng business, mag-exercise ng profession. Okay? Para ma-encourage sila. Kaya binigyan sila ng mas mababa na tax rate na 8%. Right? Answer natin dyan is dog. Sige, so before we take our break, magsagot pa tayo ng konting exercises. Number 4, Mr. Y owns a nightclub and videoke bar, which are subject to other percentage taxes. Okay? In 2021, the business generated gross sales of 2.5 million with cost of sales and OPEX of 1 million and 600,000 respectively, with non-operating income of 100. How much is the income tax due? For number 4 class, yung application yan is this one. Kapag ang business mo is nightclub and videoke bar, actually, makikita mo sa section 117 onwards, may ibang percentage tax na applicable for them sa ganitong business. Alright? I think it's 30% yata. Okay, anyway, so next time pag-aaralan natin yun. Pero sabi ko dito class, the business must not be subject to section 117 onwards. Sa number 4, naging subject siya sa 117 onwards. In that case, hindi siya pwede mag-avail ng 8%. Got it? So automatic for number 4, tax table agad yung applicable for Mr. Y. Right? So kaya walang sinabi dyan na nag-avail siya ng 8% or whatever kasi hindi siya pwede. Okay? So let's go to number 8. So, I think kasya pa yan dito. Let's go to number 4 pala. Number 4, since tax table lang siyang gagawin natin dito, meron siyang gross sales na 2.5 million. Okay? And then meron siyang cost of sales 1 million, and then makukuha natin yung, and then let's deduct the cost of sales, okay na, allowable deductions na 600,000, okay? And then don't forget the other operating income, so huwag mo kalimutan yan, other non-operating income of 100,000. So compute natin class yung taxable income of Mr. Y. 2.5 million gross sales minus cost of goods sold 1 million minus 600,000 plus 100,000, taxable income is 1 million. Let's compute the tax due for number 4. Punta tayo sa row number sa tax table natin. Row number 4, it's between 800 and 2 million. So 130,000 plus 30% in excess of 800,000. Yung tax due is 130,000 plus 30% in excess of 800. So 1 million minus 800. Let's compute. Okay, so 1 million minus 800,000 times 30% plus 130,000, you get 190,000. 190,000, that is letter A. Letter A. Okay, ulitin ko class, yung natutunan natin sa problem number 4, since subject siya sa 117 onwards, wala siyang 8% income tax rate option. Okay? Tax table yan automatic. Okay, skip number 5, later yan. Skip number 6, punta muna tayo sa number 7. Okay, let's go to problem number 7. Problem number 7 is the application of yung citus of taxation natin. Okay? So, tingnan natin class kung paano natin kukomputin yung, ayan, kung taxable income of the following. Okay, so basahin natin. On July 1, 2021, Mr. X left the Philippines to go to Japan. Ayan, and planned to work there for 5 years. Okay? The following data were provided as of December 31, 2021. Now, so again, umalis siya July 1. So January to June 30, meron siyang na-earn na income sa Philippines and Japan. Meron din siyang business expenses. July 1 to December 31, meron din. Okay. His taxable income is, yun yung question number 1. Okay, number 7, question number 1. Compute natin yung taxable income of Mr. X. Analyze muna natin, class. Kung umalis siya sa Philippines noong July 1, okay, ibig sabihin, from January 1 to June 30, yung classification pa niya dito is resident citizen. Tama? If resident citizen siya, ibig sabihin, within and without yan. Tama lang? Nung umalis na siya sa Philippines, pumunta na siya sa Japan, so it means from July 1 to December 31, yung classification niya dito is non-resident citizen. Does that make sense? Pag non-resident citizen ka, within the Philippines lang. So now, compute natin yung taxable income niya. January 1 to June 30, taxable globally siya. So ibig sabihin, yung gross income na given sa problem, compute natin, sabayan niyo ako mag-compute, sa Philippines and Japan, tataxan sa Pilipinas yan. So 300,000 plus 200, 500,000. Okay? 500,000, and then, yung operating expenses, so your allowable deductions, na 150,000. Got it? So both sa Philippines and Japan, gagamitin natin. So taxable income niya from January 1 to June 30 is 350,000. Okay? Now, July 1 to December 31, non-resident citizen na lang siya. So it means, yung concern na lang natin is yung income niya sa Philippines. Tama? How much yung income niya sa Philippines? 600,000. Got it? Ano yung expenses niya sa Philippines? 150,000. 600 minus 150 is 450,000. Add mo yung dalawa na yan, 350 plus 450,000, you get 800,000. Answer natin for question number 1 is letter A, 800,000. Okay? So within and without from January 1 to June 30, within from July 1 to December 31. Question number 2. Assuming he arrived from Japan on July 1 to permanently resettle in the Philippines after working abroad for 5 years, his taxable income as of December 31 is opposite naman. So, nag-work siya sa Japan and then bumalik siya sa Philippines noong July 1. So, ibig sabihin class, from January 1 to June 30, ang classification niya is non-resident citizen. Okay? From July 1 onwards, naging resident citizen na siya. So, opposite siya ng question 1. Therefore, kung non-resident citizen siya, noong January 1 to June 30, within the Philippines lang yan. Okay? Gross income within the Philippines, nasan yan? That is 300,000, tama? And then, yung allowable deductions or expenses for that same time period is only 100,000. Okay? Business expenses, 100,000. You get 200,000 taxable income from January 1 to June 30. Now, let's go to July 1 to December 31. Resident citizen na siya. So, global na siya. Tama? It means, we add 600 and 400. 1 million gross income. Expenses, 150 plus 50, that's 200,000. 1 million plus 200, you have 800,000. 200 plus 800, final answer, 1 million letter, boy. Question number 3. If he did not leave the Philippines at all, his taxable income is, kapag hindi siya umalis ng Philippines, resident citizen siya for the whole year. Okay? So, resident citizen siya for the whole year, January 1 to December 31, how much yung gross income? Well, add natin lahat. 300 plus 200 plus 600 plus 400, 1.5 million. Okay? Yung allowable deductions, let's add everything. 100 plus 150 plus 50 plus 50, 350,000. 1.5 million minus 350,000, that's 1,150,000 taxable income for question number 3, letter C. Ayan, letter C. Alright? Sige. Magsagot pa tayo, class. Last one. Okay, last one. Number 9. Skip mo muna yung number 7, number 8. Okay, para same muna yung concept na i-apply natin. Let's go to number 9. Okay? Number 9. Number 9 class is the same as, similar sa number 7 na apply din natin yung cycles of taxation. Okay? Mabilis lang, number 9. Problem number 9, a taxpayer provided the following data. Okay, meron siyang compensation income, 10% represents SSS, Pag-ibig, PhilHealth. Ang tawag na dyan, yung mandatory contributions, we know deductible yan. Tama? 8 to 5,000. Income from business or business income, 10.5 million. Other income, 20% represents income from bank deposit abroad. And then expenses, 15% represents personal expenses. Pag personal expenses, parang sa accounting yan, okay? Separate dapat sa business yan. So, hindi yan deductible for business, for tax purposes, pag personal. Income from bank deposit, lagay mo muna dyan, pag income from bank deposit, final tax yan, okay? Actually, ignore muna natin yung final tax na yan. Additional information, 1/4 of business income and deductible expenses is from outside the Philippines, okay? Scenario number 1, if the taxpayer is a resident citizen, his taxable income is, pag resident citizen, number 9, scenario 1, okay? Pag resident citizen, taxable globally yan. So, ang gagawin ko dyan, class, meron siyang compensation income na 8 to 5,000, tama? And then, I know na yung mga mandatory contributions, pwede kong i-deduct yan. Sabi dyan, 10%. 10% of 8 to 5,000 is 82,500. Deductible yan. Okay? Meron din siyang income from business. So, lagay dito, business income. How much? 10.5 million. So, lagay natin yan. Though nakalagay dyan sa additional information, 1/4 of business income is from outside the Philippines, hindi na yan relevant sa atin kapag resident citizen. Kasi pag resident citizen, within and without the Philippines, taxable yan. Okay? 10.5 million. What else? We also have other income. Yung other income dito is, sabi dyan, 20% of income from the bank deposit abroad. Kahit abroad pa yan. Okay? Taxable siya sa Philippines. Plus 750,000. And then, expenses natin or allowable deductions amounting to, yung 7.2, 15% nun, personal. Tanggalin natin yung 15%. So, 7.2 times 85%, 6,120,000. Alright? 6,120,000. So, yes, so let's compute the taxable income. If the taxpayer is a resident citizen, 825,000 minus 82,500 plus 10.5 million plus 750 minus 6,120. Answer natin dito, class, is 5,872,500. Letter dog. Letter D or letter dog. Scenario number 4, if the taxpayer is a non-resident alien engaged in trade or business, NRA, ETB. Pag NRA, ETB, ano yung kailangan mo tandaan dyan? Within the Philippines lang yan. Got it? Okay, so lagay natin compensation income na earn naman yan within the Philippines. So 825,000. Minus din natin yung mandatory contributions na 82,500. Okay, what else? Business income, dapat yung within the Philippines lang. Sabi dyan, 1/4 of the business income outside the Philippines. So 3/4 lang ang gagamitin natin. 10.5 million times 3/4, 7,875,000. Okay, we have other income. Sa other income naman, 20% abroad. So 750,000 times 80%, 600,000. Okay? And then, other income, yung expenses natin or allowable deductions. Sabi dyan, 15% personal expenses. And then 1/4 is from outside the Philippines. So gagawin ko dyan, 7.2 million, multiply ko muna sa 85% para matanggal ko yung personal expenses. And then multiply ko siya sa 3/4 para matanggal ko yung outside the Philippines. Times 3/4, 4,590,000. 4,590,000. Let's compute for the taxable income. 825,000 minus 82,500. Okay. Plus 7,875,000. Plus 600 minus 4,590. 4,627,500. 4,627,500, that is letter boy. Okay, boy. Last one. If the taxpayer is a non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business. Okay. NRA, NETB. Okay. His taxable income is, last, remember this. Balik tayo dito. So yung resident citizen, non-resident citizen, resident alien, non-resident alien engaged in trade or business, yung first four na yan, tandaan mo, tax table yung ginagamit natin dyan. Alright? Kapag NRA, NETB, alright? Ang gagamitin natin dyan, class, is final withholding tax. 20% final withholding tax yan. Okay? Based on gross amount. Got it? Okay, so tax table kapag yung resident citizen, non-resident, resident alien, NRA, ETB. NRA, NETB, subject to final withholding tax. Parang dito. Later, di-discuss natin yung final withholding tax. Pero sa NRA, NETB, lahat ng na-earn niya, subject yan sa 25% final withholding tax. Okay? Ibig sabihin, wala siyang allowable deductions. Got it? Except sa compensation income. Compensation income, lagay natin, 825,000. Kasi lahat ng mandatory contributions, pwede mo i-deduct yan. Okay? Sa business expenses, yun hindi mo pwede i-deduct kapag NRA, NETB ka. Okay? Minus 82,500. And then, meron kang business income, which is 7,875 kasi within the Philippines lang yan. Okay? Meron kang other income. Na-compute natin from question number 2, the 600,000. And yung mga subject to final withholding tax, yung income from bank deposit, nakita mo yung 300 na yun. Kasi subject sa final withholding tax yan. Kaya hindi natin sinama sa questions 1 and 2. Pero pag NRA and ETB ka, lahat ng income mo subject to final withholding tax. So isasama din natin yan. So bank deposit, 300,000. Let's add 825,000 minus 825 plus 7,875,000 plus 600 plus 300, you get 9,517,500. 9,517,500, answer natin is letter boy, B. Okay? So very important, NRA and ETB is subject to 20% final withholding tax. The rest of the taxpayers, tax table yung gagamitin natin. Okay? So before we continue, let's have a short break.